He was just trying to finish cleaning the mats. Nothing more. But to some people, a black man holding a mop was all they needed to feel superior. When the gym's star instructor called him out for fun, laughter filled the room. They didn't see Jaden as a man, only as someone beneath them. What happened next would silence every smirk, every whisper, and expose the deep prejudice hiding behind those polished belts. Because sometimes the lesson comes from the one they least expect. Jaden never planned to stand out. For most of his life, he tried to stay invisible. The kind of man who showed up, did his work, and left before anyone noticed. At 40, his world had become routine. Mop, bucket, quiet nights cleaning the gym after everyone else had gone home. To him, the scent of disinfectant and sweat was comforting, a reminder of discipline, not defeat. He once dreamed of being in the ring, but those dreams faded years ago, buried beneath responsibility, loss, and the kind of discrimination that wears you down slowly. Not all at once. Still, Jaden took pride in his work. Every mat he cleaned, every mirror he wiped, he treated as if he were preparing a sacred place. But not everyone saw him that way. Some students avoided eye contact, others left their trash behind, assuming the janitor would handle it. He learned to ignore the whispers, the glances, the occasional smirk from men who wore black belts but lacked basic respect. That Thursday evening was supposed to be like any other, until the class ran late. The last group, led by Derek, the gym's top instructor, was known for its ego more than its skill. Jaden kept to his corner, quietly mopping as the thuds of sparring echoed across the room. Then he heard laughter, sharp, mocking, and familiar. He turned, realizing they were looking at him. What started as a casual taunt would soon become something much bigger, something that would test not just Jaden's patience, but the very meaning of dignity, respect, and strength. The gym was quiet, except for the sound of gloves hitting pads. Jaden focused on his work, pretending not to notice the glances. But when Derek's voice cut through the air, sharp, arrogant, and laced with mockery, everyone stopped. "Hey, janitor, you ever do anything besides clean? Come on, let's give the class a little show." A few students laughed, not because it was funny, but because they were too afraid not to. Jaden froze, mop still in hand. He'd heard that tone before, the same one used by supervisors who joked about hard workers like him. The same one that stripped a man of dignity while pretending it was harmless fun. He looked up slowly. Derek stood in the center of the mat, tall and proud, his black belt tied tight around his waist like a badge of superiority. "Don't be shy," Derek continued. "Let's show them what happens when a janitor steps into a real fighter's world." Jaden's first instinct was to walk away. He had spent years mastering silence, the kind that protected him from unnecessary trouble. But that night, something in Derek's voice hit deeper. It wasn't just arrogance. It was entitlement, the kind that said, "You don't belong here." "I'm just finishing up," Jaden said quietly. Didn't mean to interrupt, but Derek smirked, stepping closer. "You're already interrupting. Might as well make it useful. Show us what you've got, if you've got anything at all." The laughter came again, sharper this time. Someone whispered, "This'll be good," while another pulled out their phone, already recording. Jaden could feel their eyes on him. Not as a man, but as a spectacle. He set the mop aside slowly, his movements calm but deliberate. The air in the room shifted. Years of buried instinct stirred inside him. Not rage, but memory, the kind that lives in the bones of someone who's endured too much, for too long. "All right," Jaden said softly, almost to himself. "If this is what you need to teach respect." The smirk on Derek's face widened. "Perfect. Let's make it quick." The students gathered, forming a half circle around the mat. Some were eager, others uneasy. Sarah, one of the younger trainees, bit her lip, her eyes flicking between Derek and Jaden. Something about the janitor's calm made her nervous. Jaden stepped onto the mat. His shoes squeaked against the vinyl. The first sound of a man who hadn't fought in years. Derek bounced lightly on his feet, mocking him with exaggerated movements. "Come on, old man. Show us what that mop can do." For a moment, silence fell. The hum of fluorescent lights echoed above. And then Derek lunged, but before his hand could even touch Jaden, something happened. Something none of them expected. Jaden didn't move out of fear. He moved with precision, a subtle shift of balance, a quiet lowering of his stance. His posture wasn't that of a janitor anymore. It was the stance of someone who had seen real fights, the kind that leaves scars no one else can see. Derek hesitated, confused by what he saw. His instincts told him something was wrong, but pride pushed him forward. Jaden's voice broke the silence. "Respect isn't taught with humiliation," he said, his tone calm but unshakable. "It's earned," and with that, the energy in the room changed completely. The moment Derek charged, the room seemed to shrink. Every heartbeat echoed against the walls as the janitor and the black belt faced each other, one armed with arrogance, the other with quiet strength. Derek's fist came first, fast and confident, cutting through the air like a whip. But Jaden wasn't there. With a simple, fluid shift, he stepped aside, his body moving with the kind of grace that only comes from years of experience. Derek stumbled forward, caught off balance. The laughter that had filled the room moments earlier died instantly. Another strike, harder this time. Another miss. Jaden didn't retaliate. He didn't need to. Every missed blow stripped Derek of authority, exposing the truth behind his title. The students watched in stunned silence as the man they admired lost control. Not of the fight, but of his ego. And then it happened. Derek lunged one last time, a desperate swing meant to restore his pride. Jaden caught his arm mid-air, not with aggression, but with calm precision. For a second, no one breathed. Jaden's hand rested lightly against Derek's chest. A single, effortless motion followed, and Derek was on the floor, staring at the ceiling, gasping for breath. The room was silent. Phones that had been recording lowered slowly. What they had witnessed wasn't violence. It was mastery, control. Grace born from years of pain, injustice, and endurance. Jaden stood still, his chest rising and falling. He didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He simply looked around the room, meeting every pair of eyes that had once looked down on him. "This," he said quietly, voice steady as stone, "is what respect looks like." And with that, the world inside that gym shifted. Power, pride, and prejudice, all silenced by the calm dignity of a man they never truly saw. For a long moment, no one moved. Derek stayed on the mat, his chest rising and falling, the reality of what had just happened slowly sinking in. Around him, the same students who once laughed now looked at Jaden with something new. Not pity, not surprise, but respect. The arrogance that had filled the room had vanished, replaced by silence. The kind that comes only after truth has spoken louder than words. Jaden picked up his mop again, not out of defeat, but as a quiet declaration that dignity never needed a stage. His calmness that night said more than any victory speech ever could. In the days that followed, the story spread beyond the walls of that gym. Some told it as a tale of an underdog's triumph. Others saw it for what it truly was, a reflection of something deeper, something uncomfortable. The way people see a man like Jaden, through his job, his skin, his silence, until he forces them to see his worth. Derek eventually apologized, not just to Jaden, but to his students. But apologies alone don't erase the deeper truth. That racism often hides in plain sight, disguised as jokes, authority, or power. Jaden didn't seek revenge or attention. He kept working, teaching quietly through his actions that true strength isn't about dominance. It's about control, integrity, and self-respect. And in a world that too often judges by color or class, his silence became a louder statement than any shout. Because sometimes, justice doesn't arrive in a courtroom or on a protest line. Sometimes, it happens in the quietest corners of everyday life. When a man stands tall, refuses humiliation, and reminds everyone watching that respect is not given by titles. It's earned by character. So ask yourself, how many more Jadens will it take before we finally learn? Don't miss more powerful real-life stories. Hit subscribe now.